Hello and welcome to another whiteboard video training. I'm Isaiah Henkel with Cheeky Scientist. Today we're talking about where to start in your PhD job search. As a PhD, you likely know the career path ahead of you in academia very clearly. The problem is that career path isn't what it seems anymore. The numbers in terms of tenured professorships, full-time professorships are plummeting. If you look closely at the numbers, in about 10 years, full-time professorships will be extinct. They're rapidly being replaced by adjunct professorships, part-time contract professorships, and a swelling number of postdocs. The average length of time for a postdoc now is 6 to 10 years, usually across multiple postdocs. It's now called chasing postdocs. In fact, a lot of universities, it looks bad for the university to have a postdoc who's been in that position for a long time, so they'll change the postdoc's title to staff scientist or researcher, even though they won't increase the salary. Okay, so what does this mean for you? It means that you've probably started looking for jobs outside of academia. Hopefully you started planning ahead, thinking, okay, this professorship thing is likely not going to work out. What else is out there? The problem is you spent all of your life in academia, just like I did. I got to the end of my academic career and I said, okay, I know that there's academia, I know that there's kind of government jobs, I'm not sure where those fit, and then there's industry jobs, which other people call business jobs, right? So jobs working in pharmaceuticals, in the biotech. That's about all I knew though. The rest of it was a black box. I didn't even know what different job titles were available. I worked in a lab, and maybe you work in a lab, or maybe you're in the life sciences, physical sciences, engineering, even mathematics, education, teaching and learning. If you're in any one of these disciplines, like most PhDs, you're probably starting to explore careers outside of academia, but you don't really know what else is out there except for the one or two things that are the closest to what you're doing now, right? So for me, I was working in a lab and I said, okay, I know some people work at the lab in industry. That is all I knew. I came to realize many years later that there are a lot of jobs in industry for PhDs, and PhD hiring in industry is up over 500% from last year. Okay, so it's not that there's no jobs for you, it's just you don't know what those jobs are, and you're invisible to employers. Now, when you're figuring out where to start, what I recommend is thinking about all of the different options that are out there, but trying to consolidate those options into 5 simple categories. You've probably read a lot online about different job titles, and some of the job titles sound familiar, like application scientist, field application scientist, application support specialist. All of these are the same things, okay? But in industry, they'll tweak the job titles by company, right? Every company might have a different job title. Some of them are similar. How do you figure out where to start? So again, what we've done is we've worked with thousands and thousands of PhDs and helped them get hired into industry. And through doing this, we've seen that there's really 5 choices that you have at the very beginning when you're first starting to consider jobs in industry. And we've tried to make these as simple as possible for you. So what you need to ask yourself is, which one of these 5 things sounds the most appealing to you? You can always change them later, but just start thinking about it at this high level first. Number 1, info and data aggregation, okay? Information and data aggregation. Now, if you have a PhD, you know how to do research, you know how to aggregate data and information. This includes the written word as well as data. And what are the types of positions that fall under this umbrella category? Data scientist, a very hot job right now. There's data scientists, there's people that are in the life sciences, physical sciences that get into data scientist roles. Because what it's come to mean nowadays is not somebody that knows how to program, but somebody who just knows how to go through data, find the metrics that matter, and tell a story to a company about what they can do to improve their productivity, their performance, their sales based on that data. Okay, there's more, I guess, specific data scientist positions where you have to know programming language, computer programming, etc. Medical writing, scientific editing. This is information aggregation, right? In many cases, you're writing as well as editing, but of course you have to research and find the information first before you write it down. This is another one of those roles under this umbrella category. IP, intellectual property, patent law, patent examiners, right, which doesn't require a law degree. This is something that a lot of PhDs are going into that falls under this category, as well as IT. Okay, so there's a lot of other job roles there, but that's the first question you have to ask yourself is, do I really enjoy the data information aggregation aspect of what I do now, and could I see myself doing that in industry? Number 2, R&D. Okay, a lot of you, especially if you're a life scientist, physical scientist, right, R&D, if you're an engineer, It's going to feel very comfortable for you because it's probably the most similar to what you're doing now. This is why some of these job titles you've probably heard of before. Research scientist, research engineer, project with a J, project manager, okay? Even computer programming, right? More engineering that's closer to computer programming would fall under this umbrella. Quality assurance as well, right? So I want you to focus on a couple of things here that a lot of PhDs don't know. A research scientist, research engineer will work on a lot of different products overall at a company, but they'll do experiments to either help innovate new products or to help test new products or to tweak them, etc. Whereas a project manager, in most cases, works with one product from conception all the way to bringing it to market. Okay, that's a key difference. The third category is sales and marketing. Now this, sales especially is kind of a dirty word for many PhDs. It conjures up memories of people walking through your lab halls or your teaching halls with one of those little roller carts with their little brochures, right? And you usually try to avoid them. But more than ever before, PhDs are being hired into these roles because you know how to talk to other PhDs. You know how to talk to MDs. That makes you very valuable in the pharmaceutical industry, the biotech industry, and beyond. More PhDs are hired into technical sales, technical support, marketing roles than ever before. And that's some of the titles here. So application scientist. This is a great role if you don't want to have a sales quota or number to hit, but if you like teaching, if you like helping other key opinion leaders, other PhDs, MDs, apply a company's products or reagents or science to their work, application scientist might be a good fit. Product manager with a D, product manager. This is the marketing equivalent of a project manager, where they will work closely with the project manager in R&D to bring a single product or a portfolio of products from conception all the way to market and will support them beyond. Technical sales and support, as we've talked about. The fourth category, a very hot field right now, clinical and medical affairs. Okay, so there's clinical affairs, which is in that umbrella term, as well as medical affairs. Lots of PhDs are being hired into these roles, and even more PhDs are being hired into regulatory affairs. All of these affairs categories are combined, but they're very hot jobs for PhDs. PhDs have a strong understanding of regulation and have a strong understanding of data and innovation, which make them very valuable to these companies that need to make sure that they're being regulated appropriately. Plus, it looks good for them to hire PhDs into these roles because they have to answer to the government in terms of these regulations. Not only that, but clinical trials manager, clinical trials project managers, clinical trials coordinators. These are very hot roles. They're often in CRAs as well as CROs, which are contract research organizations. That's a CRO, and a clinical research organization, which is a CR, which can be a CRO or it's a clinical research affairs, which is CRA. So start to understand some of these acronyms, but again, zoom out. Are you aligned with wanting a job in clinical and medical affairs? Do you like the idea of understanding the clinical side of things, regulation? You don't need clinical experience to get into these roles. One other role too that's very popular under this umbrella category is medical science liaison. Medical science liaison falls under the medical affairs portion of this umbrella term of this particular segment. Very hot job right now as well. Again, you don't need industry experience to get into these roles. You just need a PhD. Finally, business, finance, and policy. Okay, so we're taking roles like business analysts, business development, management consulting. That would fall under this category of more pure business, okay, as well as finance. There are certain finance roles that PhDs are being hired into, and a lot of policy roles too, such as a job at the NIH or in scientific ethics. So you just have to ask yourself, do you want to get more involved on the business, the non-science side of things, while still utilizing one of your biggest assets, your ability to do research and go through data, to draw conclusions, and to speak about results, and to uphold your scientific integrity. If you have any questions on this, please let us know in a comment below this video, wherever you are watching it. You can get a career map that will outline these 5 categories and help you make decisions on the top 40 jobs for PhDs by going to phdsgethired.com. Go to phdsgethired.com, enter your name and email address. We'll send you our career map with these 5 categories and all of our free resources. If you have any questions, again, please type them below. As always, remember your value as a PhD and start thinking and acting like a successful industry professional.